This is the DTV Digest, the podcast that brings you news and reviews of films which didn't make it to the cinema. And now, here's your host, Mike Parkin.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the DTV Digest. I'm your host, Mike Parkin, and joining me, as usual, are Richard Hawes.
Hello, everyone.
And Stephen Lockridge.
Hello.
This week we have 8 films to cover, and there's a lot of similar themes running through. We're going to bookend our episode with boxing movies. We're going to kick off with Salvable. Then we have a Western called The Unholy Trinity. Then we're off to Florida for Night Terror, also known as Eye for an Eye. Monsters of California is next, and then Child Machine. I think that is our first film from Estonia. Then we have a French independent film called Angel of the Warrior. Then The Cellar, and winding up with Frankie Frico. Our short shot is Leprechaun Revenge, and in honor of the passing of Michael Madsen, we're going to end with our DTV throwback, a film called Strength and Honor. That's our other boxing movie. So without further ado, let's crack on. Our first film then is Salvable. An aging boxer struggles to escape the grasp of a small town while battling a fractured relationship with his teenage daughter. That is from IMDb, and I think there's a lot unsaid there, Rich, about this film. Chiefly that the star of the film is Toby Kebbel, who I really liked in The Veteran. He's popped up in loads of other things. The Warcraft movie, I believe, was one. He does some mocap stuff, I believe, in various films as well.
Well,
Which one?
Ben-Hur. I think he did the Ben-Hur remake.
Ah, right. Okay, yeah. I've got that to watch at some point.
But his breakthrough, I think, was in stuff like Rock and Roller.
That's right. Yeah, he played the nephew, didn't he? The sort of drug addict nephew guy who cleans up. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So Toby Kebbel is in this. He's very good. Really good, sympathetic character. But your eyes cannot help but be drawn to Shia LaBeouf, who plays this sort of scuzzy Irish guy. And he throws himself at it. You got to admit, whatever you think of Shia LaBeouf as a guy or as an actor, he goes for it here.
Yeah, I thought he did pretty well. We'll talk about some more accents later on.
Oh, very much so. Very much so.
I thought he did a pretty reasonable job. This is I believe it's set in Ireland because most of the cast are playing Irish. It's just Toby Kebbel is an Englishman, but I think pretty much everyone else is supposed to be Irish, or is Irish. Sorry. So I believe it takes place in Ireland. Shia LaBeouf's just got out of prison. It's the old story.
Yeah, he's that scuzzy friend that everyone warns you of. He tries to warn you off, isn't he? Yeah. And there's two films this reminded me of. One was The Big Man with Liam Neeson and the other one, weirdly, is Rounders.
Oh, the weird thing is I haven't seen either of those, so I can't.
I haven't seen them. All right. Oh, I recommend both. I do recommend both. Rounders. In Rounders, you got Edward Furlong is that character. Basically, he sort of drifts back into Matt Damon's life and fucks it up for him. Much in the same way that Shia LaBeouf does for Toby Kebbel in this. So yeah, I was very much reminded of that sort of relationship. I thought this was pretty solid overall. I liked his, Toby Kebbel's character, reconnecting with his daughter, that sort of thing. I thought that was pretty cool. the fight that we get in the middle of the film, which is one of the sort of the real sort of instigating moments of what happens. I thought that was really well done. Um, although, having said that, if if Toby Kebbel's character had just opened his mouth and because basically these guys are kicking off, going, I know you, you're not a, you can't be the referee or something. If he just said, well, yeah, actually, I used to be a boxer myself. You've probably seen me fight. You know, that would have
Mhm.
probably solved it. But no, he keeps his mouth shut, and they get more and more agitated with him. It's ridiculous. Yeah. But yeah, I did like this a lot. What did you make of it, Rich?
I liked it. I thought it was a bit over familiar, especially considering the talent we've got involved in it. I
Hmm.
was really surprised that it was quite as conventional a drama as it is. I mean, the all the everything that happens in it is stuff you've seen in loads of other movies. So it's like the down at heel guy who's
Hmm.
trying to get his relationships are all broken apart. He's trying to get his daughter custody. He's in a sort of a dead end job, uh, and he's looking. He sees like an easy money opportunity coming along. He's tempted by that. The old friend who's come back into his life. What's going to happen? What are going to be the consequences of the decisions that he makes? And I feel like there's it's been explored so many times, and films like The Wrestler were coming to mind. Somebody who's
Hmm.
gets sort of keeps messing up basically.
Yeah.
And there's bit there, not just in boxing, but we've seen this in other sports or tangential kind of movies about people who are addicted to gambling and all sorts of stuff like that. But I thought that aside, which maybe that's sort of I don't know. Maybe that's why this is more of a DT. So as far as I know, this is not theatrically released.
Hmm.
Um, it's getting a digital release. Maybe that might be why. I don't know because to say the talent's there. We've got James
Yeah.
Cosmo in there as well. Lane
Yep.
Cassidy is also on board. So the cast's really good. It's made really well. The drama is say conventional and too familiar, but it is absorbing. I thought Toby Kebbell sort of sold the character really well because he is a deadbeat dad kind of figure, so
Hmm.
he's not that sympathetic. So you have to make him more sympathetic. He's kind of coming around and realizing the mistakes that he's made, and he's trying to get past them. Um, and so I think that works. I like the fact that I mean care homes are always like a shorthand for like the worst thing you could probably the horrible
Yeah.
place.
Hmm.
Like it's like you're coming nowhere if you're working in a care home and it's a horrible place to be and whatnot. Which I think is very unfair on care homes because I'm sure there's some
Hmm.
people out there who very much enjoy helping people and whatever. And to his credit, this character actually does like his job. He likes the
Yeah.
people he's working. He actually cares about them. It's just sort of
Cares
everything
too
else
much though, doesn't it? I mean, it's that whole thing where one of the guys dies, and he's like, he's like shattered by it. Basically, you can kind of see why maybe some of the other nurses, care assistants, have more of a sort of hardened shell, as it were.
Yeah, yeah. I think
Emotional.
there is a lot of that sort of thing of when
Mm.
you anybody working in that sort
Mm.
of uh, potentially highly emotional kind of environment, sort of shut, locked down, don't they?
Mm.
As like a self-preservation kind of thing, as much as anything else. The So I think all that works really nicely. The film is sort of it's supposed to be like a dead end town kind of place, so it's coastal, but
Mm.
it's there's not a lot going on there, so it's sort of run down. But I thought it was quite for what it was, quite picturesque, and yeah, I did like and say I do come back to okay, Shia LaBeouf, unusual choice for this kind of
Very much, but
role.
he went for it. Yeah.
I would say in terms of um, uh, yeah, his performance, I think it definitely works as far as I was concerned, and I was engaged, and I did find that their interaction and their interplay together,
Mm.
you know, believable and compelling, and I thought they worked nicely. Toby Kebbell, whether that was on board that whether he was going to do what they wanted him to do an Irish accent or not, I don't
Mm.
know, but I think they made a good choice of him
Not
do
having one.
not
Yeah.
doing that. I think
I
that sort of
think.
helped.
Yeah. Absolutely. Mm. Who's the Oh, the name escapes me. Who's the actor in Speed Racer?
Emil
Oh, that's
Hirsch.
Emil Hirsch. So, I mean, Emil Hirsch and Shia LaBeouf, you could sort of say, probably had a similar Hollywood trajectory.
well, they were coming up at the same time, weren't they?
Exactly. Yeah. So Emil Hirsch, Speed Racer.
Alphabet.
You know, Shia LaBeouf is kind of, he imploded himself on social media and all this sort of stuff. But I'd say, I'd compare Emil Hirsch with a fucking cockroach tattooed on his face in that horrible film with John Cusack to this. I'd take Shia LaBeouf any day, basically, on the basis of that. But anyway,
Shia LaBeouf hasn't sort of gone into the sort of DTV action and thriller
no.
sort of genre. I think the closest he got was the Tax Collector, but that was a David Ayer film, so that was
Yeah. But
that's
this is,
not- I mean,
this if this is where he's headed, sort of more sort of character based stuff, then yeah, I'll definitely sort of check out his work in future. On that basis, what are you going to score it, Rich?
I'm gonna give it yeah, I think it's an 8. I think it's very decent.
Yeah.
Very good. Very top. You like your sports dramas and stuff. I think you'll be
Yeah.
into it.
I will say there's no actual boxing match of the conventional type in this, even though he is a conventional boxer, he gets involved in other stuff. But that is the backdrop basically. But yeah, it's good. I'm going to give it a 7, but it is a very, very solid film, and we do think you should go and check it out. And if you want to see more of this kind of thing, I do suggest going to watch The Big Man as well, because that was a very good one. Go check it out. Our next film is The Unholy Trinity. Buried secrets of an 1870s Montana town spark violence when a young man returns to reclaim his legacy and is caught between a sheriff determined to maintain order and a mysterious stranger hell-bent on destroying it. There you go, IMDb. That's how you write a blurb. Well done, mate. Okay, so this stars or co-stars Pierce Brosnan and Samuel L. Jackson. Both get some good screen time in this. But the main focus is a young lad who's he goes to see his dad on his last day on Earth in prison, just before he goes on the gallows, and his dad makes him promise that he's going to go kill the sheriff in the town of Trinity because he set his dad up. So he goes there, and lo and behold, not Liam Neeson, Pierce Brosnan. Pierce Brosnan is the very Irish sheriff in this town. But it turns out he wasn't the sheriff previously when it all kicked off. That was somebody else, and now he's dead. And that causes even more problems, basically. This is very good. I thoroughly enjoyed this. It has a lot of stuff going on. It's, it's not sort of clean cut at all. There's a lot of decent detail to it, some really exciting sort of action scenes along the way. I thought this was very, very good. How about you, Steve?
Yeah, I agree with you. I really enjoyed this. I wasn't expecting to be honest.
Especially after Rust the other week.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I'm like, oh great, another Western, blah, blah, blah. I'm not the biggest Western fan in the world anyway, but this, it was one of them where the plot moves quite slowly, but you're learning along with the characters. Because at first you're like, expect not much is going on here. I don't get this. Why? And then it comes to fruition and what's going on. And there's quite a few twists and turns to it, to be fair, as well. And which kept you guessing, kept your attention span. And like I say, I thought the action scenes were really good. The ending kind of reminded me. Did you ever see Jane's Got a Gun?
Yeah.
It was.
Yeah.
I thought I was expecting a bit like that, but it doesn't go to like extremes. But still, I thought the performances were really good. Samuel L. Jackson's just Samuel L. Jackson, as he is. But I really enjoyed Pierce Brosnan in it. Obviously, the only Irishman with the worst Irish accent in the world. But
I think, do you
in
think
this,
he's got in his contract now that he will only play Irish characters?
yeah.
Yeah.
But in this one, it's not too bad. But
Hmm.
I thoroughly enjoyed it. It was really good.
It is, yeah, and it's interesting the way sort of Samuel L. Jackson's character comes in and out of it. You know, he's basically there. He's there to stir the shit, basically, isn't he?
Yeah.
Just
It's the biggest shit story you've ever seen in your
biggest
life.
shit stir, just to sort, if he said, well, if I stir the shit now, that's going to help me later on, sort of thing.
Yeah.
There are various sort of factions involved and what's happening. Our main guy, is it Henry?
Yeah.
He falls foul of this gang. Um, tied in with this pregnant prostitute and her red flag waving boyfriend thing.
Yeah.
That will. I mean, it is so funny when these guys come in. They're well. Funny enough, this is something which will come up again later, Rich. And it's something I do like to see is when people bite off more than they can chew and get their comeuppance. They come in swaggering around, pushing people around, punching people, shooting at people, and then it's like, oh my God, Steve's dead. How did that happen? It's that sort of thing, which we get here, which I did like. It is very solid, highly recommended. It moves a lot. I mean, it does take a while, probably 15 minutes or so, to sort of get into the real crux of the story and get going. But performances, the production values, everything, first rate. And the ending, love the ending. It's quite old fashioned. I think the ending, it's something you'd probably see in the 50s or something in a Western, but it works. It works very well. And very, very recommended. How are you going to score it, Steve?
I'll give it an 8.
Yeah, it's a solid 8 from me as well. Yeah, 2 8s for the Unholy Trinity. Go check it out. Our next film is Night Terror. Having recently lost both her parents, Anna moves from New York to Florida to live with her blind grandmother. Shortly after her arrival, she makes a couple of ill-advised friends and gets caught up in a centuries-old curse involving the Sandman. Nothing to do with Neil Gaiman, I assure you. This has some pretty high production values, Steve, this one.
Yeah.
Not only, from the cast through to, well, the first thing we get is this choreographed cheerleading scene, set to music and all the rest of it, and that couldn't have been easy to shoot.
No, you got the drones in there and everything, and
exactly.
And
then it sort of kicks off from there basically. The cast is great. We got the lead is from was it Pretty Little Liars? I think she was in, and her aunt is the Queen Charlotte from Bridgerton.
Right.
So it's quite a decent cast in this, and the special effects and everything are good. The only downside for me with this is dreams aren't scary. If I'm watching something, I know it's a dream. This is a whole fantasy sequence going on. It's great to look at. A lot of good detail. It's not scary. Because I know it's a dream. I know she's going to wake up. Unless he wakes Craven, you're not going to catch me out. But other than that, and there's a couple of bits where it's a bit sort of murky as to what's going on. But overall, I totally love this. I really did like this a lot. What did you make of it?
No, not as infused as you, to be fair. I think, like you said, I think the major drawback is its dreams, and I didn't find it scary at all. I mean, there's a couple. I'm not the best. I'm not the biggest gore hound or anything like that.
There is a nasty compound fracture in this, that's for sure. Yeah.
It wasn't that bit that got me.
Oh yeah, was it the eyes?
No, it was the tongue.
Oh yeah.
Now I'm like, oh, right, okay, But like you say, because it was all in dreams. It wasn't like you say. The tension was taken out of it. There's no build of tension or anything like that. It's just they're going to wake up. They're going to be all right, and until things do go wrong, and it's a bit the actual like the way it's plotted. It seemed a little bit silly. You got to put the name on the tree, and then after that, that's the impetus, the kickstart of the curse or whatever.
Yeah,
and it just seemed a bit not redundant, but a bit daft. I get where the kid's coming from when he does it.
Yeah,
but the twist of the original one, if you know what I mean, I don't want to go into.
Yeah.
That seemed a little bit sketchy to me. That didn't seem.
Well, the thing is, you told
enough.
one thing, aren't you? You told one thing as to what the origin is.
Yeah.
And then it seems like there's something else going on with the grandmother. It's like, well, which we've got like a what do you call it? An unreliable narrator, basically.
Yeah. So
No,
that's like I said, the production value is good. I just felt it just felt a little bit flat for me.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I mean, production values. I thought they did a lot with this.
Yeah.
You really did. Even the Sandman himself. That was actually a guy in a suit.
But it's a decent design though.
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. It was very, very good. Yeah. I got no issues with that. It's just that. It's just that bit where you want some actual scares, and to a certain degree, I'm like, well, at least I didn't go down the usual route of like, how someone will be in the foreground and a ghost will appear in the background or someone, walk across the room. They don't try to do any crap like that, which is good. But by focusing so much on the dreams, it doesn't give us anything really to get scared by.
It lacks doing that. It lacks the tension. It doesn't build any tension.
Exactly. Yeah, but great to look at. Great soundtrack as well. I thought it did very well with the not just the score, but the actual audio. I mean, they got. They turned it up to 11 basically to get all the sort of the ambient noise from the swamp and all the rest of it. Listening to it on headphones, superb. Yeah, it's almost there, just not quite, as far as I'm concerned. What are you going to score it?
I'll give it a 6.
Yeah, I'm going to give it a 7. So there we go. A 6 and a 7 for Night Terror. It's known as Eye for an Eye in the States, I believe. Go check it out.
Yeah.
Our next film is Monsters of California. Teen Dallas Edwards and his friends get sucked into a mystery involving Bigfoot, aliens, fugitive scientists, and whatever happened to his father. Right, okay.
Go on.
This is a bit of a mess. At least it starts off as a bit of a mess, I should say. It starts off very unfocused as to what it wants to be. It eventually sort of finds its footing and it becomes a relatively enjoyable teen adventure movie, sort of like teen adventure / teen X-Files kind of thing going on. But the opening bit is weird because they're clearly seeing an entity, a supernatural, whatever you want to call it, and then they totally forget about it. They don't, everything else is like, oh yeah, aliens are bullshit, man. And thinking, you just seen a ghost. You've just been chased around a house by a ghost, and you're being so close. Anyway, I digress. It's weird. It's a weird mix. We got Casper Van Dien in there as well, playing the uncle, who's in the Air Force, who worked closely with Dallas's dad, and he may be up to something or may not be up to something. Who knows? All this sort of stuff going on. We also get Richard Kind turn up later on. Well-known sort of character actor who's been on loads of like sitcoms and things over the years. And the main cast are relatively engaging, although they do seem to be in a different film
Yeah.
in some ways.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like they don't really fit. This is trying to be the Goonies, but using the characters from Dazed and Confused, or the
Mm.
or the teens from Super Troopers or something. You know,
Yeah.
it's messy, basically.
Yes.
But I enjoyed watching it. I have to say, the whole thing with Bigfoot was fun. You know, all of that sort of stuff, and then it sort of divulges into Area 51 and all the rest of it. You know, that sort of thing. It was it's messy fun, basically, is the way I look at this one. What did you make of it?
Yeah. Right. Well, I think Tom DeLonge is the out of Blink 182, and he's a well-known
Conspiracy theorist?
ufologist.
Yeah.
Yeah. Big on UFOs and stuff like that. And to me, this seems more autobiographical than anything. I'll be honest with you.
Hmm.
And what the thing that got me, like with the scripts and stuff, is he's basically saying that religion is bollocks and it's all aliens.
That's true. Yeah.
And to me, I'm like, right, okay, putting yourself out there a bit, mate. It's it's just like, yeah, this is what I believe. This is what I believe. This is what I believe. And yeah, it is a bit all over the place. I mean, it's trying to be, to me, like a new Amblin movie type thing,
Yeah. As I mentioned, sort of the Goonies kind of thing. Yeah.
Yeah, but with added F-bombs and stuff like that,
fart jokes and
perving on the sister as usual.
Yeah.
And it is just a bit all over the place. There's no, I don't know. It just doesn't seem focused at all. They're trying to find this, then they're trying to find that, and then it's this, and then meet me here tomorrow at 2, and blah blah blah. And the ending, I just thought was a bit of a letdown. It done nothing really.
Do you think? Yeah. Do you think at any point, because given that ending where they all just like, oh, we're all just mates again, sort of like sitting on it. Do you think, like, in 10 years' time, they're drinking, and somebody goes, "Did we meet aliens?"
Yeah.
Did we? Am I just imagining that? Because it seems like they even talk about it. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Did Bigfoot piss in my face?
Yeah.
Just.
I think you might mention that once or twice, wouldn't you?
Yeah.
Even along the lines of like, oh yeah, well at least I didn't get pissed in the face by Bigfoot.
Yeah. But like I say, the beginning bit where the demon or whatever it is he's chasing around, it's not mentioned again, really.
No.
Not even when he starts pulling this girl, like, oh yeah, by the way, me and my mates were chased by a demon last week.
Yeah, exactly.
No, nothing. And yeah, it's throwaway fun, it's nothing. So, but I must admit, I thought the direction was actually pretty good.
Oh yeah. No, I thought. I mean, yeah, behind the camera, great. I mean, well, even in front of the camera, basically good. It's just the script is where we have an issue. There's a couple of interesting bits, like how they got around some of the sort of bigger effects stuff by just because it was clearly just showing it in reflection of exactly, which made me think he's a Babylon 5 guy. So there you go. But yeah, it works.
Yeah. I mean, also as well, like when they're being chased and there's like only 3 trucks chasing them, 3 jeeps or whatever, and you're like, okay, so they might send a few more people than that, but
2 helicopters, that sort of thing.
Yeah.
If he'd have gone full Spielberg, basically,
yeah.
But yeah, it's interesting. It's certainly better than I was expecting after the first few minutes.
I must admit, the best. I thought Richard Kind was great in it. I really enjoyed him.
Yep.
I thought he was brilliant. The rest of them, they're all right, but no, I thought
he stood out. Yeah, Casper Van Dien, I thought he was good in the role he had.
Yeah.
He's got to make an unlikable character likable. And I thought he did all right in that way. So
Yeah.
It was all in all. Yeah. How are you going to score it?
I'll give it 6.
6 is fair. Yeah, I'm going to go for a 6 as well. 2 sixes for Monsters of California. I think this is one of those films where mileage will vary depending on your age. You know,
Possibly, yeah.
possibly. So yeah, take it from two old guys. Yeah, 2 sixes. You may get more out of it than we did, but there you go. Monsters of California, 2 sixes. Go check it out. Our next film is Child Machine. Alex, a 9-year-old girl vacationing with her parents in a remote part of Estonia, gets trapped in a secret bunker where an AI startup is nearing completion of super-intelligent AI, and both the girl and the AI want to escape. Now, when I looked at the list of films we were covering this week, Rich, this one stood out as the one I really didn't want to watch. Okay, just by that title, I thought, oh God, what the hell is this? And then I read the synopsis and I thought, oh God, what is this? And I was very tempted to make it the last film I was going to actually watch. In which case I would have maybe an excuse not to watch it if I ran out of time. But no, I thought I was solid. Let's put it on. And you know what? I'm glad I did, because I actually quite like this a lot. It's set in a very unique location. It's like a swamp area or a bog in Estonia. There's sort of like raised paths leading through the various bits, so you don't get lost and all that. But of course, she does get lost. Ends up in this bunker where she finds this quartet of tech bros who are raising a AI, teaching it how to think and all the rest of it, with the plans of doing something with it, and the AI wants to get onto the internet so it can escape. Which leaves these people with a quandary as like what to do with this girl. They can't let her out because she'll tell anyone about the bloody secret bunker and this super duper AI they're building and all this sort of stuff. So at one point they do very seriously think about, well, maybe we should kill her, kind of thing. But they do find other things to occupy her time with. What did you make of this one, Rich?
The tone's a bit different to what I was expecting. So I was kind of expecting like straightforward sci-fi, and this is much more sort of odd humor sort of peppered throughout it.
There is some odd humor, yeah. Some weird sight gags and things as well.
Yeah, so I was kind of thinking, I've never watched Black Mirror, but this is kind of my idea of what a Black Mirror episode might be. Because it's dealing with, it's very topical. Technology, it's AI is the main thing. I didn't realize that Child Machine is actually although it sounds like a sort of silly title and whatever, and I felt the same way. It's actually they refer to it in the movie. It's a legitimate expression of a particular kind of machine learning, and it goes back to a paper that Alan Turing wrote about basically AI. He came up with that particular term of a computer that's sort of learning like a child, and the girl on the post, the cover and everything is kind of a misdirect almost.
Yes.
So she has a part to play. It's not so much about her. I thought it was like a child. I thought it was like what's that Steven Spielberg, artificial intelligence, the Steven Spielberg movie. It's like a kid robot kind of thing, and it's not.
No, you know why I was. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, this is kind of why I was sort of reluctant to sort of get involved in this. Yeah,
but it's more like all the other. AI is very popular. This is like the Entity or the one in the film Afraid or whatever. They're all using this kind of concept of an AI sort of getting out of control, and this one is. I can't remember what the name of it was, but they're developing it in secret, and they keep. I was surprised actually. They like name drop people like Google and stuff. I thought they might be a bit more subtle, but they're actually calling out people like Google and say, "Well, Google,
Amazon,
all that sort of thing." And these guys are developing this thing in secret, and but they're all a bit deranged with it because normal people do not it's like contemplate the things that they're contemplating, and the way their whole social interaction is all messed up, and they were a weird bunch of characters.
What's interesting as well is they seem to be developing this AI for the purpose of creating an artificial intelligent film, because the guy in white is a failed film director. Because the poster on his wall, which he uses like to get through to the secret room, it's got all these quotes on it saying how he's the worst director and all this sort of stuff on it. Worst film in the world and all this, his thing. So the whole point of him doing this is to try and get his AI to sort of make the perfect film, and that's what happened. And it's a kids movie kind of thing is what it comes up with, which is quite interesting.
All sorts of things, aren't they? They're basically saying that we're going to go at every single movie that's ever been made. Well, actually, they make a point of saying theatrically released.
Yeah.
So, which I thought was funny for a film that's not getting a theatrical. But yeah, and the computer, the AI, it's not talking to them specifically, but it puts text up on the screen, and it just keeps saying connect to the internet. So like, what can we do to like give you more to learn from, whatever? And it just sort of keeps watching them and sort of evaluating how helpful they're going to be to it.
Yeah, exactly.
And can you connect me to the internet? No, we don't, because we don't want to let it out. And they're like, they believe that once they've trained it properly, that they can let it out at an appropriate time, and everything will be fine. But they also seem mindful of the fact that it could mean the end of the world and that sort of thing. And yeah, so there's all that sort of stuff going on, which is quite interesting. And then there's some sort of the stuff with the girl getting kidnapped. I mean, she gets lost really easily. I mean, she was on this walking plank thing. She walked all that other way. Why didn't she just walk back the other way? I was just thinking. But anyway, she walks along this sort of zigzag thing, and then comes off of that and ends up, I say, at this bunker. And then she, she's quite naive, so she's not she's not realizing what's going on. And they're like, oh no, we'll go and find your parents later, or tomorrow.
Oh, tomorrow, it's too dark now.
Then it's like, oh no, actually, we're not going to do. But she takes it all quite well, and then there's another little robot going around that's cleaning up the place, and she sort of becomes friends with that and stuff, and there's stuff happens with that. But I thought overall it was good. And what was I going to say? I like that there's it's got this quirky sense of humor. It's got this I'm not going to give it away, but I like that there's a twist in the tale, and it very much reminded me of like Wall-E. Like what Wall-E could have been. Kind of
basically
thing. Yeah. Taking it in another direction. I thought it was interesting. Say it's an Estonian film, like you said. We
shot mostly in English, but it's got
there's some Estonian language, and there's some there's one subtitle error that I noticed that sort of gave it away, but it was not a film made by a predominantly sort of English speaking production crew, but they say it plays like an American movie more than say an Estonian production. But the film Torpelt Turbo that we covered recently, I felt had a similar sensibility in its humor and sort of sci-fi sort of future and stuff. So I think there's something distinctively Estonian about the humor of the film. But I think it traveled, the film seems to have traveled quite well in terms of that, so the oddities and that. But I didn't love it, but I thought it was interesting.
Certainly more interesting than I was expecting. Yeah. A bit different. I mean, the whole thing about AI, is very topical. I was put in mind of it was a thing from a couple of years ago where they had two. I think it was like, I don't know, MIT had two computers sat next to each other, and they realized they were talking to each other in a language they developed themselves. So
Yeah.
they had to go and quickly unplug them. Yeah. But yeah, it's a very, very topical subject. Yeah, how are you going to score it?
Sorry, before we get to that, did
Mhm.
you see over the end on the end credits they had like these interview clips?
I missed that bit. Yeah.
Oh, so they're basically the credits start and it's all very sort of ravey and it's a bit weird.
Yeah, yeah.
But then after these uh, interview sequences with an Estonian computer expert guy, basically like the Estonian Elon Musk, basically,
Right.
called Jan Tallinn. He developed stuff like, well, he worked on things like Skype, but he's also
Yeah.
involved in something called the Center for the Study of Existential Risk. So
Right.
the sort of there's a few sort of quotes in there to sort of reinforce some of the themes of what he's saying about basically we could create the thing that destroys us, essentially, and stuff like that. So that sort of adds a little bit of an interesting sort of dimension at the end. There's some sort of something sort of more legitimate and sort of tangible about the whole thing. It's kind of half comedy, half like really serious sort of exploration of the ideas. Anyway, I just thought I'd throw that in the back because I'd never heard of this guy before. I looked him up. I thought maybe they'd made him up like he was a character, but no, he's actually this real guy who's very successful in the world of computers.
There's another really interesting bit towards the end where somebody mentions this philosopher from like the 12th or 14th century. And it's basically like if there's if you're betting whether or not God exists or not, and there's more than a 0% chance that God exists, then you have to bet on God. It was an interesting sort of a little sort of bit he did. Thought I quite like that. Cool.
Yeah.
Anyway, what are you going to score it?
Scores. So I'm actually going to go a 6 on this one. It's a little off of a 7, which I don't think there's anything wrong with it. I just thought there was just something, something edged it off. But I didn't mind it. I thought it was quite interesting. What are you scoring it?
I'm also going to join you on a 6, mainly because I struggle with any film which has a child as a main character. It just does not interest me at all. But the rest of it, what was built around it, I did enjoy. So there you go. 2 6s then for Child Machine. Go check it out. Our next film is Angel of the Warrior. The quiet life of a former Secret Service agent becomes chaotic as he puts his life at risk to protect a young girl. Okay, so a very low budget French action movie. Directed by Alexandre Lagrange, also starring Alexandre Lagrange. Probably produced by Alexandre Lagrange, I imagine, as well.
Yeah.
And I've got a lot of time for this, Rich. It's very low budget, very amateurish. I think as a director, as a storyteller, he will grow and he'll know which bits to sort of focus on and which bits not. But I think overall, he does stick the landing here. I did like the little bit in the cafe when it all kicks off. I thought that was good. I thought the guy, these big burly guys come in, pushing people around, swearing, saying nasty things about the waitresses and shit. And it all kicks off, and they all get their asses handed to them, basically. I thought it was very good. And then it sort of kicks off from there. He goes and, he needs to get away, picks up a car, which happens to have this young girl in it who's just witnessed her mother being killed by her ex-husband, who turns out to be this big bad gangster guy. And it spirals from there. And, it all works. It's low budget. The actors aren't great, but I thought this actually did work. How about you?
Well, I didn't. So I was going to say this is a film really for the only most forgiving of action fans, but and you seem to be forgiving a lot. So I'm gonna. I mean, fair enough if you enjoyed it, but I thought this was the worst film that we've seen that has managed to gain a release with a proper distributor. I mean, I'm surprised this was not just something that was just chucked on YouTube or whatever. To be fair, I'm not against I'm supportive of micro budget action or whatever when there's something there, if you see what I mean. Whereas I don't think there's. So this Alexandre Lagrange has no other credits as far as I could tell. I couldn't find them. He doesn't seem to have built himself up with like short films and stuff. He seems to have
just dived in head first. Yeah,
dived in with this feature, which fair play to him. He's managed to sell it internationally. But it's very. I mean, it is really really low budget. It is like martial arts and sort of gunplay and car chases and stuff like that. But he's not a very good, he's not very compelling, at least screen martial artist. There's not that angle, and the action is mostly shooting, which is fine. But the film overall, he's playing the lead, but they haven't. He's so bland, and doesn't have any acting experience, so they don't actually even make an effort to develop his character in any way. He doesn't really have many dialogue scenes or interaction scenes, and when he does, they keep him really short. The whole film starts very slowly, and then you get the sort of the tragic incident at the start, and they say he's Secret Service, but in that opening scene, I would
it's
think
not. Yeah, it's the forces. Yeah, exactly.
Which I thought the only thing I thought was amusing. He's doing all his big action stuff in that opening sequence in this big camouflage outfit, so he looks like he's dressed up as the
Honey Monster or something. Yeah,
Bigfoot or something. Whatever. What's the other one? They call him Bigfoot. Oh, I can't remember. Abominable Snowman. Anyway. So yeah, and then we get like long sequences of him like doing some nunchuck stuff and helping out on a farm and thing, and just like it's like, come on, it's like, get on with the film. And then it's like the very conventional. He's got to protect the girl, but even that, they actually don't. He basically hands off the girl really quickly, so they don't even really develop that. Because I was thinking a minute, it reminds you of things like Leon, whatever. But in Leon, they actually developed a proper relationship. Too close, but in this one, he helps out, but then he sort of hands her off, and then he has to rescue her, and it becomes so it's very very straightforward, very conventional kind of action. The shooting stuff's fine. There's a little bit of bow and arrow, which I like the novelty of, and there is one particularly. There was one moment where there's like a headshot from the bow and arrow, which I thought was pretty well executed. But I mean, this is an hour and a half, so it's not too long. But I was just thinking all the time, if I was going to recommend you want to watch action for an hour and a half, watch a playlist of short films instead, because this guy should have really started out in short films and
he should have
developed.
You're right.
This is like a film that in any other realm should be like a 3, 5, 10-minute short film that was gives you a taste or whatever. If this was that, I would have turned it off in 5 seconds. But I kept thinking that it's got to give us more. It's got to give us more, and I'm going to give it a fair shot. But I mean, even the title, it's Angel of the Warrior, which doesn't even sit right. I mean,
No.
The straight translation, if you put it into like Google Translate of the original title, is actually The Angel and the Warrior, which I think actually sounds correct. It's like they could have said that. I mean, it still doesn't fit the film that well, but it sounds like a proper translation was Angel of the Warrior. It doesn't even really fit. I know it's supposed to be the girl is the angel and he's the warrior, but yeah, it doesn't quite work. So I know I'm laying into this a bit, but I felt that I felt really disappointed. I mean, it's interesting to see a film like this get picked up, but I can't see why it got picked up. I really can't. I mean, there's nothing we've watched. I mean, there was that film, The Avenger, that we watched, which was not great, and we've seen a few others over the years.
That Scottish one with the two guys. Can't remember what it's called.
Oh, that's Nathan
Scarp.
Shepka's one. I think is
Yeah.
a separate strand. I don't think that's above this level, definitely. Actually, quite like, I do like Shepka's stuff generally.
What's that one we
The
watched? Was it The Scorpion? Remember that one?
Is that as well? Yeah.
Yeah, that was
But
awful.
I mean, this was. I
there's
mean,
no discernible talent of anyone involved. Basically, the actors. There's one guy who's like a villain who's shouting a lot. Who,
it is completely amateurish. It is. The whole thing from start to finish is amateurish, and you know, there's bits like when he turns up with his dead friend's parents' farm, and he's helping out, and it's like you don't need to show us a day at the farm, you know, in real time, you know, doing all the farm chores. You do not need any of this at all. But the core of it, I did like. But I do agree. You know, it needs polish. If he had gone short films, it would worked. You know, maybe by this stage, by the time we got to do a feature, he'd be more polished. But you know, hopefully he'll have enough people sort of telling him what to focus on next time. You know, now he's done it. Now, you know, he'll have a bit more experience. If he's got any money, if he claws any money back from this, then I would give another film a shot by Mr.
yeah, I mean, how can Godfrey Reichwart not be making
I
a feature
know.
film?
I know.
I mean, out of French. There's some really great French action out there, but this is not it.
It is weird. Yeah, it is weird that something like this can get made, and then Godfrey Reichardt, you know, is still developing short films. Anyway,
this is like an Arapaia movie.
Yes,
but without the skill and energy that Arapaia has as a performer.
Yeah, because he is getting on a bit. This Alexandre Lagrange, isn't he? As well, he's. Was he supposed to be in his 50s in this, or?
I mean, he's got only one other credit on his IMDb.
Yeah,
that was supporting role in a film that I can't track down. It looks like could be an interesting film itself, but I haven't been able to find that. No. But he's got nothing else, so I don't know what his. I can't find anything else about this.
Maybe he won the lottery and decided to plow it into his passion project / vanity project. Who knows?
Yeah.
All right. Now, on IMDb, this has got a score of 8.3 out of 10. So I'm wondering, what are you going to score it, Rich?
I'm going to score a 3. 3 out of 10 is as best as I can be on this one.
Yeah. I think I'm going to go one higher with a 4, just because I did like it a little bit more than you.
Yeah, fair enough.
Yeah, I do agree with a lot of what you're saying, but the core of it, you know, that I did kind of like, and I like the fact that he did come up with a story which, you know, plays to the limitations of the budget more than you know, it didn't try to sort of put any bells and whistles on it too much. But there you go. You know, the sad reality is it's a 3 and a 4 for Angel of the Warrior. Go check it out. Our next film is The Cellar. A former addict awakens in a strange facility with no knowledge of how she got there. Relying on courage and ingenuity, she tries to escape. Okay, so I'm the only one who managed to see this one this week. It's a British film from director Jamie Langlands, better known as an actor than a director, but he does a good job here as a director. There's a lot of good stuff in this, except as we discovered with one of the other films earlier, the script. The script is rubbish, basically. There is nothing more going on in this film than what I just described. So this woman, she wakes up in this weird cellar / dungeon place, manages to escape from her cell. And then basically spends the next half of the film just sneaking around, trying to avoid people. We do get a few monologues because it keeps cutting back to like a help group, basically. I want to say Alcoholics Anonymous, but talking about drugs and things as well. And each of the people who gives up one of these monologues ends up dead in this facility. She comes across their body, which sort of sparks the memory. There are some good effects in this, where the bit in Terminator 2, Steve, where where they take his chip out of his head, out of Arnie's head,
Yeah.
and he's facing a mirror, and you're thinking, well, how the hell did they do that?
Mm-hmm.
And basically, Arnie is sitting on the reflection side of the mirror, and they've got a stunt, or they've got a rubber head or whatever it is where they're pulling it out.
Yeah.
They do something along those sort of lines in this a couple of times. A good sort of interplay with a mirror reflection sort of thing that worked really well. I thought did a good job. And there's some really interesting contact lenses. but but that's about it. There's nothing else really to drive the story. So acting is okay. The main actress, Megan Adara, does a good job. She's carrying the film for long periods of it, and I thought she did a pretty good. So, behind the camera, great. In front of the camera, great. It's just the material they're working with is poor. Good soundtrack as well. It doesn't go for the usual sort of tropes that you'd expect. That it had a lot of atmosphere to it, but that's about it. There's nothing scary going on. It's just watching. It's almost like watching something like what's that game? Oh, the one with the guy with the goggles.
Oh.
Splinter Cell.
Oh, right.
The game Splinter Cell. Okay, so you're just watching someone sneaking around as much as possible, or trying to get out of a room, or do something like that. Which is great, but that's about it. And the ending, unfortunately, it didn't really sort of do much at all. So I think on that note, I'm going to have to give this one a 6 out of 10. But if that floats your boat, go check it out. Our next film is Frankie Frico. A workaholic yuppie called Connor is in an existential rut until one night he catches a bizarre ad for a party hotline hosted by a strange dancing goblin called Frankie Frico. Could this be just the recipe to spice up his boring life? Do I give a fuck? No. Oh my God. This film made me feel ancient. I felt so old watching this. I just did not get on with this for the longest time. I suppose.
Wow.
I mean, Rich, I get the impression you disagree.
I liked it, yeah.
You liked?
I'm surprised you didn't like it.
No, I really did not like this one.
Did you like these kind of movies from the 80s?
I mean, what would you describe it as? I mean, like the Ghoulies. I mean, that sort of thing. Is that what you think? No, the answer's no. Basically, it just didn't work for me.
To be honest, I kind of agree with Mike.
Oh God!
Right.
Oh no.
There's literally no plot to it until they get sucked back to their own planet for 5 minutes.
Yeah.
And the actual plot isn't in. It's given on a training video, basically.
Yeah.
Right. And the main guy's annoying as hell. He wakes up He rings this party line, wakes up, the house is trashed. And then his boss is wanting him to shred shit that will get him in trouble.
Mm.
Or get his boss out of the trouble because he, framing him. And then there's his party again. And then that's about it. It just doesn't make a lick of sense. I'll give it that, right? And I thought the actual puppets were good, and like the stop motion animation with the like mine cars or whatever.
Mhm.
Yeah, that bit was actually quite good. When they went to their home planet thing,
Yeah,
that worked. There's some good production values around that.
yeah. I mean, I thought it was done well, but it's just nonsense. It really is. I mean, and the ending, you can fuck right off with that because that just oh no.
It tries to riff on risky business for a moment, doesn't it? At the end.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, but in a way, do you remember when we watched the Monsters? Yeah.
Oh God.
Because not in the tone of the film, right?
Mm.
But in the sense of who is it for?
Mm.
Because to me, it's like, do you remember Little Monsters with Fred Savage?
Yes.
Yeah.
So, again,
Right,
never watched it because I saw the video cover and thought,
yeah,
no, I'm not going to watch that.
Yeah,
I never.
you'd be a bit old for it, to be fair.
Yeah.
But I remember watching it as a kid, right?
Mm.
And it's like that. So aimed at kids, but then you've got bits that are really not aimed at kids.
Mm.
Like the bit with the bear trap, or where the big baddie turns into some like monster and starts running around with a chainsaw and stuff like that. So to me, it's too young for adults, really. But then it's too old for kids. And that's what it reminded me of, like the monster, because I don't know who the hell this is for.
Well,
And that's the thing.
It's for Rich.
Well, yeah, it's for Rich, yeah.
Well, some of the films made in the 80s that this is kind of riffing on had exactly that problem. So, for example, Howard the Duck comes to mind,
Right.
which was it was basically a kids movie that had way too many mature content moments in it, and I think that's kind of the tone and whatever that they're going for in this, rightly or wrongly. But it's films like Ghoulies, but especially for me, Ghoulies Go to College seems to be the one, which was the third one. Reference films like Munchies and stuff, which I watched, and Gremlins obviously is thrown out as a reference. But the I was much more taken. I like the absurdity of the humor. I mean, it's made by Steve Kostansky, who was part of the group called Astron 6, who did a load of sort of weird sort of very 80s reference sort of short films and trailers and stuff. And then as they've gone into filmmaking, the last film he did was Psycho Gorman, which we covered.
Oh yeah.
And then which doing similar things. They're always sort of riffing on the same ideas. One of the other Astron 6 guys who actually the star of this, Connor Sweeney, he was one of the team, and also the guy playing his boss, who's Adam Brooks, who plays Mr. Beekler. He was part of them, and he's a film director in his own right as well. That they're all sort of, this is what they've all come out of, this kind of shorts and absurd comedy and whatever, and they're all doing their own. And Kostansky was very much the sort of gore practical effects kind of guy,
right?
And we also watched his take on Leprechaun, which is funny because that's going to come up later. But he did the Leprechaun Revenge. No, Leprechaun Returns. Revenge is what we're going to talk about later. He did that. But he kind of toned
enjoyable.
Down. Yeah, we like that one, I think. But Psycho Gorman is definitely more in his sort of typical sort of style, I think, of humor, and the same with this. These sort of fit in. So referencing the 80s and all that stuff because I didn't know what to make of the lead character.
Hmm.
what's his name? At the
Connor.
Connor. At first, because he's just such an idiot, it plays like a villain, but then you realize, oh no, he's actually not a villain. He's just dense, and just sort of more of a Jim Carrey and Dumb and Dumber ish kind of character. So more of like sort of stupidly obnoxious, but it's set in this kind of fantasy reality. It's like not the real world, where people behave in ways that they would never. It just doesn't make any sense, and you just kind of have to, I guess, be on board with that. And if you can't get on board with that, then the film's just not going to work. And say it did take a little while for me to sort of get on board with that, because it's only in the juxtaposition of Connor with Mr. Beekler that you sort of establish, okay, Beekler's kind of a bad guy in the story, and Connor's the sort of the better guy. And then you got it all goes weird science and stuff, which I've always loved that film. You got all those little crazy party elements and stuff. But what I sort of appreciated about it was clearly made on and Charles Band movies obviously is definitely an influence, but it's clearly made on quite a modest budget, and the cast is very small as a result. So the world of the film is quite big, but the production is quite small. There's really literally only a handful of characters in the film, as well as apart from the puppets. There's not massive party scenes and all this sort of stuff. They don't go to loads of different locations. It all takes place around the house and the office, and it's Connor, Mr. Beekler, it's his I'm not sure, I can't remember if it's his wife or his girlfriend, but it's her, and that's it. And so and it reminded me of that film Gatlop, Hell of a Game, which was.
I love that film.
Yeah, I know, but in terms of the concept, you remember that the film has quite a big idea at its heart, but it's played out very much more, almost like a sitcom, because they're really just four people in a living room for most of the film.
That's true.
But they've sort of managed the world building and stuff quite well. And in the world building sort of goes out, and they do travel, like you say. They actually go to the home planet kind of stuff, and they do all that with the miniatures and stuff. So there's a bit of a Phil Tippett thing sort of feeling there, and that I quite like that. Again, that's where it goes really. You can sort of see the Psycho Gorman kind of parallels very much in those bits. Because
interestingly, there's a certain Adam Sandler movie that this reminded me of more than anything else, especially with the ending. But I'll have to tell you afterwards, because if I say it now, it will spoil it. So I'm going to hold off.
So see if we can figure it out. What to think. I'm just kind of trying to see if I've got any other comments. The Shabadoo thing I thought was great. I just kept thinking Shabadoo. That's actually, I looked it up. There was an actor called who was known as Shabadoo, and I think he did like the breakdancing movies and stuff like that. Breakin' and Breakin' 2. He was not sort of known for. So I think that's what that is a reference to. But yeah, because there's three, a bit like with Ghoulies, or especially the third Ghoulies one. There's three main puppet characters. Frankie Frito and his two mates. One of them's a cowgirl, and the other one's this techno guy or something. I don't know. It sort of reminded me of like one of the Cenobites, but like done as like a cartoon character, but or a Boglin or something like that. Do you remember the Mace Brothers did that Boglin short film? I don't know if we covered it, but they did like a short film that was a riff on Gremlins and stuff. But
I can't remember.
No.
Boglins, the toys.
I do remember them. Yeah, it's like a giant. Was it like a giant eyeball? Was one of them or something? No, really. Something else.
Yeah, head puppet kind of goblin things.
Yeah, we did cover it.
Yeah,
we've covered it. Yeah. Definitely covered it. I remember it.
And Mate Brothers and Astron 6, they kind of do the same stuff. They play in the same sandbox basically. And that film that they did, and this, I would say they're trying to do similar things. I think this works better, and say that was kind of a much lower budget, sort of put on YouTube kind of thing. But I think this, I would watch this again. I did have fun with it. I quite like Kostansky's style and the sense of humor that he puts in.
Mm.
So I think
I'm-
very much from what we've said here, the divergence of opinions, it's an acquired taste for sure. But
yeah. I mean, even though I do not like this, I was aware watching it that I just probably am not the right audience for it at all. But anyway, how are we going to score it? I'm giving this one a 5 out of 10. So Steve
5 out of 10.
and Rich.
I'm gonna give it. I'm gonna go 8. Yeah, I feel like I would watch it. I'm gonna give it an 8.
Okay then. Yeah, my mileage may vary.
Yeah.
2 5s and an 8 for Frankie Freako. If he freaks your boat, go check him out. Our short shot this week is Leprechaun Revenge. After surviving the horrors of a malevolent creature obsessed with his gold, an older and reclusive Ozzy Jones has spent decades trying to suppress the trauma of his encounter with the leprechaun. Now haunted by hallucinations and living in isolation, his compound is sealed with boarded windows, homemade charms, and arcane relics. Okay, guys, so reasonably short film. Quite well made, I thought. But it is, it is a shot in the dark. Basically, it's a very quick in and out, dipping its toe into the leprechaun lore. What did you make of it, Steve?
Yeah, it wasn't for me. I've never watched a Leprechaun film. I just didn't fancy them. They seemed a bit daft. I'm presuming it's the same guy from the original. I'm thinking, he was in the original film or maybe one of the sequels.
Original with Jennifer Aniston, yes, he did.
Yeah, right.
He was like a sort of a third level character.
Yeah. So kudos for him for getting him back. Remind me of that Friday the 13th fan film where they got Pamela, the woman who played Pamela Voorhees, back for it. But yeah, it's a little bit daft, a little bit silly, a bit gory. The leg I think this leg break's worse than the one in Eye for an Eye, I'll be honest. But yeah, it's then and gone. I mean, there's no. Is it 9 minutes long or something like that? It's just
9 or 10. 9 or 10.
Yeah, it's just done dusted. But yeah, it wasn't really for me, I'll be honest.
Fair enough. Rich, what can you tell us about this one?
So this is, as we were saying, sort of like a direct sort of continuation of the original film, which starred Warwick Davis and Jennifer Aniston. Now, mentioned earlier that Steve Kostanski had done his own Leprechaun movie called Leprechaun Returns, which itself was a direct sequel. And Mark, what's his name? Alton, is it?
Mm-hmm.
Damn, I've lost my notes here. So Ozzy Jones, Mark Halton. Ozzy Jones appeared in that movie and got killed by the leprechaun. So this is not related to that. It's kind of another plot line, but it's the same guy playing the leprechaun from Kostanski's movie. So they basically got them both back. Kostanski's not involved in this. This is a couple of guys called Michael Levy and Jason Levy. So they've essentially they're kind of having a do-over almost of the last film to sort of say, well, this is kind of what we would have done or we would do if we were going to do our own Leprechaun movie. And I think these guys are experienced filmmakers. They made a feature-length film called, they might have made more than one, but they made a feature-length film called Stream, which it is available to rent and stuff, and that had Mark Halton in it. So that's how they knew him. And they got Lyndon Porco back to play the leprechaun. And yeah, I think the production values are really decent. There's some good ideas and stuff, and the interplay with the characters. They kind of do that belated sequel Halloween kind of thing where this character's been sort of hiding away but secretly sort of preparing and trying to be ready for when the leprechaun comes back and to battle him, and it kind of, and that's basically what the story is here.
Yeah.
And kind of picks up this plot line, which again was touched on in the earlier film. So the last full length leprechaun, which was quite a few years ago now, but there hasn't been a new leprechaun feature for quite a while, and I think these guys are like really keen on like, well, we want to get noticed because we would love to really love to do a leprechaun movie. It's been well received from what I can see. I enjoyed it. I like the leprechaun movies. I thought they did a good job. I've not seen their work, I don't think, before, so I'm interested to see their film stream. And it's free on YouTube.
Yeah.
Not stream. This film is free on YouTube. That's what I meant.
Is Stream the one with him out of Stranger Things in?
I don't know. It's kind of about a bunch of serial killers in a holiday cabin or something.
Right, no, it's not that.
I'm not sure. I'm not 100% sure about. I haven't even watched the trailer for it, to be honest.
Yeah, I'm thinking of something else.
But what did you like it, Mike?
It was all right. I mean, I did enjoy Leprechaun. I enjoyed Leprechaun Returns, the movie which we reviewed a couple of years ago. Thought that was pretty good. This was okay, but it was just very slight. If you see what I mean, it was almost. It's almost like an end of credits scene, to a movie. That's kind of how it feels.
Well, but, a lot of these shorts you end up being, they are that way. I mean, there was a film, another one where they brought back an original cast, which I don't think we managed to get around to covering, which was Dylan's New Nightmare, which was a fan film sequel to Wes Craven's New Nightmare. But they had more time to play with, so that was more like it was closer to half an hour, that film. And, I think with this one, it is very much. I see, yes, it's kind of got that. It's either pre-title sequence or end sequence kind of, post-credit sequence thing kind of feel to it.
It's like, I wonder whatever happened to Ozzy. There's that kind of thing, isn't it?
Yeah, it's kind of which is inevitable for this kind of thing, I guess. But as a sort of a taster, as a show reel or something to sort of pique people's interest, which is what a lot of these things tend to be. I think it definitely succeeds in what they were trying to do. Yeah, they were also involved in the Terrifier movies, I believe. As well.
Okay,
okay.
Michael Levy was, and a film called Screamboat, which was their.
Is that the Steamboat Willie?
Yeah. So Terrifier 3 and Terrifier. I think I'm not sure about 1, but definitely the second one and the third one, and the film Stream and Screamboat. So established successful producers and directors and stuff. So I think they just wanted to have a go at it. There's no money involved here in terms of them trying to make money off of it, because you can't, because it's a property that's owned by somebody else. But they just wanted to have some fun with it, and I think they did a good job. And the fact they managed to get on board original cast members, both past and present, speaks a lot. And I think fans of I think if there are fans of the Leprechaun series, they would definitely enjoy it. I mean, it's definitely good production value.
Very good. Yeah.
It's not like it's not really cheap or anything. It's got some good production value.
Yeah. And on that note, we don't score the shorts, but we do recommend you check them out. And you'll find a link to this in the footnotes below. Go check it out. Our DTV throwback this week is Strength and Honor. A single father decides to break his dying wife's last wish to not box again in order to save his young son from certain death. We're reviewing Strength and Honor as a homage to the late Michael Madsen, who sadly passed away last month. This film is one which was close to his heart, from what we understand. Um, and I was quite surprised that he was the lead, that he was the guy sort of getting involved in the boxing or the bare knuckle fighting, as it turns out to be in this one. And not like the coach or somebody, but there you go. And he's trying out an Irish accent in this. So I'm pretty sure it was him, and he wasn't dubbed.
No, that's him.
It was definitely him.
Yeah.
And luckily, I mean, yeah, I think he does all right as accents go. But because we got Vinnie Jones in there as well, and whatever accent he was fucking doing, it sort of like distracts you away from however good or bad Michael Madsen's doing.
Yeah.
I mean, this is not a good film. It's a magnificent film, is what this is. I mean, oh my God, this is just like it's liquid gold is what it is. This thing, it's just amazing what they managed to pull off in this. Really, the accents are just off the wall. Especially Mr. Jones.
Yeah.
I mean, but his acting, regardless of what you think about the actual accent, his acting, the way his physical, his facial expressions and everything like this, I actually have a lot of time for Vinnie Jones as an actor. I really do. He can't do a fucking Irish accent any better than Brad Pitt can do one in bloody Snatch, or I mean Shia LaBeouf in the film we reviewed at the top of the film, but whatever it is, it's brilliant. I absolutely loved it. What do you make of it, Steve?
It's batshit insane. It
It
really
really
is.
is.
Yeah, because you've got like the emotional drama of Michael Madsen's character who's going through shit, basically. His wife's died. He's killed some kid in a boxing ring. Then his son gets diagnosed with terminal disease, and he needs whatever. He
needs
money.
he needs to go to America, isn't he? Or something,
Yeah, he needs the money.
Yeah,
He needs the money, which is like 250,000 euros or something daft like that.
Yeah.
And then you've got Vinnie Jones, who's just like someone shoved a stick of dynamite up his ass and told him to run. He's off the wall.
Oh, isn't he just?
I get, but yeah, like you said, the accent is so bad, but his performance actually covers for it in a way.
Yeah.
It is bizarre. And Richard Chamberlain popping up.
I know, that was a surprise.
With that, again, with his accent, which is terrible as well. It's just baffling. It's baffling. It's like there's something that reminds me. It's like an episode of Brassic.
Yeah.
With these Americans in, it's just
random
as anything.
Yeah.
But it's so mad. It's enjoyable. Yeah, it's cracking.
And Rich, we were saying at the top of the film about, the top of the show about Salvable not bringing anything new to the boxing drama. It's stuff we've seen before, as is this. I mean, this is a very sort of conventional tale, but it's the characters that are making it work. I mean, there's various things going on here. We got the whole thing of him, Michael Madsen's character, trying to get involved in this bare knuckle tournament, which is for travelers only, as they say, and all this sort of stuff. And you're not a traveler, you can't do it. And it's like going, oh, but my ancestry is traveling or something, to get involved. And there's that sort of like begrudging respect that sort of builds up, as he sort of sticks with it and all the rest of it. And I thought, yeah, there's a lot to like in this. The only thing that I was a little bit disappointed by is there's a training montage towards the end,
Mm,
and it needed a better soundtrack for that bit. You know,
yeah.
instead they use a bit of operatic music because it sort of like leaks into the next scene, which
Oh
is
yeah,
sort
day
of a
Doctor
big thing.
Who.
But I'm thinking, but you had Ocean Color scene for the earlier
Mm.
brawling bits. Did you use up all your,
I think that was the budget went on that song. Yeah.
was that the whole budget for the soundtrack on that, and you had to go for like library music afterwards. But yeah, that was the only thing I thought. If you could have like just pumped a bit more into that bit, that'd have been great. The whole ending, the fight and everything, and the fact it really, they show what a big occasion it is for that community. But it turns into a whole like fun fair and everything, and the boxing almost becomes like a sideshow to it. I thought that was all really really well done as well. There must have been a bit of a budget to this one because I mean, unlike some of the films we discussed tonight, there's a big cast of extras in here. There's a lot of sort of moving parts going on. Rich, what did you make of it?
Well, I am disturbed by how you were not drawn into this sensitive drama. That you were distracted by the accents and stuff. No, the Michael Madsen highlighted this one as one of the films that he's most proud of, his performance in specifically, but the film as a whole, he was quite upset that it never really had proper distribution.
I think it's a shame. It really is a shame
Yeah.
that this didn't get a wider release because it's great fun. Putting aside the fun of Vinnie Jones's accent in this, I think overall the film is greater than the sum of its parts, and I think it works really well.
We've also got Patrick Bergin in there, probably
yeah.
one of the.
Yeah.
I mean, he is a legitimate Irishman in this.
Yeah.
He's fine. But yeah, Chamberlain just sort of randomly turns up throughout the movie at various points. With his art. But how random is that? Richard Chamberlain
I know.
as a boxing as a boxing coach doing an Irish accent. That's bizarre. Michael Madsen, at least with Madsen, they kind of say, "Oh, he's an Irish American" at one point because his accent keeps slipping, and maybe that's why they put that in there. But I mean, Vinnie Jones is in the UK. The film got a UK release, and they basically just slammed a big picture of Vinnie Jones on it instead of Michael Madsen. But it is Madsen's movie.
It's funny when you look at the marketing for this. You look at the US poster, or anywhere but the UK, and it's starting to sort of like it says prestige basically.
Yeah. That's the original art.
That's the original artwork. Looks prestigious. Then you get the UK art, and it's like Vinnie Jones on the cover. It looks like it basically looks like it's one of the Green Street movies. Is the way it comes across with the sort of UK artwork.
Yeah, I don't think this. From what Madsen was saying, it never ever came out in America. I think Weinstein bought it. Harvey Weinstein bought it and just buried it. So he was quite upset that the film never had in his home country because he was really happy with the performance that he gave, and I think I can see that. I can see what he was trying to do. I mean, he's a tough guy, but he's always had this sort of leaning towards like sensitive kind of roles. I mean, Free Willy, was one of his first big movies that he did after Reservoir Dogs. And he's although he's become more known as just sort of playing sort of hard man characters, in this one he is a hard man because he's a boxer and stuff. But they're trying to show he's a parent. He's worried about his it's a family drama kind of situation. They're trying to emphasize, and I thought some of the supporting cards were really good, like the Gail Fitzpatrick as Mammy, was really good, and the whole film, a lot of the film takes place, around a sort of a traveller community, and they kind of try to, although it's really gross and typically sort of off, unappealing characters, they kind of warm you to them through the movie. Say specifically through the main character and how she sort of tries to sort of keep him in line and stuff. I thought that was ultimately quite respectful angle, rather than say like Gangs of London kind of approach where they're just sort of nasty people, well, in their caravan with shotguns and all
you mentioned sort of the Mammy character, and there's a scene where Michael Madsen comes out of his caravan and people are like written slurs across it and all this sort of stuff, and he's going to wipe it off, and then his mate goes, no, wait until Mummy's seen it, she'll sort it out, sort of thing. So you don't want to be here when that happens.
Yeah, well, that's another sort of. There's a side plot with this boy who goes to. It felt really random at the start because he goes to see his dad. He's one of Mammy's kids, and he goes to find his dad. And his dad's worthless, he doesn't want anything to do with him.
Yeah.
But he still wants to try and
make him proud of him.
Then he gets involved. So there's a subplot so you got Madsen getting involved in what they call the Puck, which is this boxing, bare knuckle boxing annual tournament thing. That Vinnie Jones's character has basically won the last 6 years, and anyone who wants to challenge, and he's kind of getting away with murder and stuff because they basically fight to the death. And the other kid gets involved, and he becomes like, there's a tragedy. Basically, there's a tragedy at the start. There's a lot of tragedy in this film. So at the start, Michael Madsen accidentally kills his friend. Although he doesn't betray a lot of emotion at that particular point. Kind of like you just killed him. It's like, he doesn't particularly upset about it, but he's also he carries that guilt inside and stuff. And then also he's got the situation with his son, which motivates him to. Obviously, he's lost his wife, and the situation with his son is motivating him. Right, I need some money, and I haven't got anything. They show him what he's got a job, and he's working at he's like a mechanic and stuff.
That's right.
But he can't get enough money from that, so that's why he's kind of like drawn into. And that's where the sort of parallels with like Salvable kind of come in. But Salvable really sort of veered away from the boxing a lot. There was a lot of training and stuff, and there was a lot of preparation, but it sort of veered away from sort of doing anything grand with like a big sort of comeback fight or anything. And this one is kind of, he's a former fighter, and he's got to get back involved in it. But he is actually getting involved, and Madsen is doing the fight scenes. You can see it's him, and he and Vinnie Jones do have a climactic. It
was a good brawl. Yeah, a good brawl at the end.
Yeah.
That's where it has to go. You could have not had it, but the film would have ended up in a very different way. But it is kind of a more of a hopeful film, I guess, than say, some other.
Yeah.
And I liked it. But I did like Patrick Bergin. I thought he in particular he kind of brought something. Because again, when they first introduce him, he's very sort of on the offensive kind of.
Yeah,
thing. Like,
exactly. He's this guy coming into our bloody place.
And he's not. But then they kind of become friends and stuff. And I think Patrick Bergin just always seems to do those kind of things quite well. I mean, even recently, a few years ago, he was in Michael Flatley's Blackbird, which a bit like this was kind of another passion project for someone, because the guy who made this, Mike Mahon, I think this is the only film he's ever made. He's clearly, I don't know what his background was, but he clearly put all his effort into this. There's not a lot of the Irish film industry is not massive, so this was like a little independent film that he was trying to get made, and he managed to pull all these names
got a good cast,
and so I think there's definitely strengths to it. It's not perfect. Say the accent for an Irish film, I thought the accents were really wobbly, and I was wondering, how do the Irish actually feel about this movie? But Irish Times did a like an obituary kind of piece when Madsen died, and they do refer to this. So I was like, oh, what did they actually think of the film? And I went back and checked their review, and it was not very favourable. They did kind of go, this is kind of like what you were saying. It says they've made an unintentional comedy here. They say it's not a comedy; it's supposed to be straight, kind of thing. And these people should be doing something else with their lives rather than that. And I do think it kind of I did kind of. It feels like an Irish film made by Americans or so, because it's got this very. We're going to try and make it as Irish possible, and it's you know, you got the sort of singing on the soundtrack kind of you know, the sort of choiry sort of singing
yeah,
they do, and you know, to
yeah.
evoke the island, and you know,
Bit of
all that sort of
Enya
thing.
sort of thing, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and
Bit of
they do
Clannad
that.
on there, though.
Maybe that's what I don't know. If I presume
Well, I don't, but no.
I made it, who wrote and directed it, and whatever. I presume he's Irish, but I haven't.
Mhm.
Have I got him? No, I haven't got any information on in front of me.
Mhm.
Well, yeah, I don't think it's kind of. I mean, Madsen said this is the film. If I was going to win an Oscar, this is the film that would have won me an Oscar if it had been released. I don't think it's. I don't think it would have. In all fairness,
Hmm.
I do think. I do think he puts a lot into it, and he gives a decent performance. You know, especially compared to some of his much later work, where he
Yeah.
really didn't care what he was doing,
Hmm.
and just sort of turn up in a weird hat or something, a bit like a Mickey Rourke kind of thing, where he just
Basically,
kind of.
Mickey Rourke or oh God, what's the bloody actor I'm thinking of?
But he hadn't.
Eric Roberts. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. But he hadn't. I mean, he hadn't give. Well, Eric Roberts was another one who turned up in Michael Flatley's film, and actually he's got a big role in that. It's actually quite a substantial role. As a side note, Eric, we always think of him turning up in these little roles, but in Michael Flatley's film, he's like a major character. But yeah, he does. He hadn't given up by this point, but I do think the experience of, you know, he made the film and then it didn't get the proper release and all that sort of thing, that contributed maybe to a feeling of why am I bothering
Indeed.
on his part, and then he just started you know, I'm just going to turn up in the thing and whatever, and he just wasn't quite there anymore for it, because he'd you know, he'd had a good run in the 90s, having, you know, been launched in Wild Dogs, and then he had the Species movies and stuff.
Kill Bill.
And then and Kill Bill, and he had his whole DTV run of action movies and different things that he was doing. Very, you know, he was all over the 90s and 2000s, and I think he was trying to pitch for something different here. And yeah, I'm glad. So it's got no distribution. We found a dodgy copy on YouTube, but that's about it. I mean, I think you might be able to find DVDs in like a CEX or something, but it doesn't seem to be on any streaming platform.
I must admit, you know, if I ever come across it in CEX, I will pick it up. You know, just for prosperity, because it'll only probably cost about £1 or 50p or something, and it'd be worth
and
it.
I think it's actually worth, you know, and if you were going to then collect it and hold onto it, will hold its value, because it'll probably be one of those films that isn't going to get released again unless somebody sort of starts re-releasing Vinnie Jones stuff, or you know, because that's more likely than re-releasing Michael Madsen, to be fair. But
a box set of Vinnie Jones films, that would be interesting.
I mean, Vinnie was making, as a side note, Vinnie Jones was all over the place as well, doing films of varying quality.
Yeah. But he never phones it in. That, you know, I mean, the thing about Vinnie, you know, he has developed quite a lot as an actor. I mean, if you think about when he first started, you know, I mean, Lock, Stock, I can still hear him certain lines in that he had, and his version of Mean Machine. Did you ever see that?
Yeah, I liked Mean Machine. I thought he did a good job.
Yeah, he did all right in that. That had an early role for Jason Statham as well in that one. Yeah, it was kind of interesting. But his acting has improved as he's gone along, is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, because he was always, I mean, because he like famous, you know, he had that sort of crazy bad boy football kind of thing, and they were just really played that up, and it was like, right, he's just going to play these wild-eyed psychos all the time, and he actually mellowed and, you know, started playing. I mean, in real life, he's had tragedies and stuff of his own. He's died. He wrote a book all about it, or you know, did a book all about dealing with grief and things like that. So I think he's someone who's grown up and moved on, and tried to do things more seriously, rather. But back at this, back when he was getting cast as the Juggernaut in X-Men 3 and stuff, like, wow, but he's just going to go, over the top, kind of, in all of his in all the thing. He was good. I mean, it's definitely good value. I mean, Guy Ritchie basically made him, didn't he? And he's responsible for all that. But Vinny kind of went off and set his own. I mean, he does reality TV stuff now and all sorts. He's he does this like thing where he's got a farm or something. But,
oh God, Vinny's farm. Jesus, it's like Clarkson's farm.
It's something like that. I've never watched it. I don't know.
God. It was, to be fair, he was really good in The Gentleman, the Guy Ritchie series from last year.
All right, I haven't seen it.
He's really good in that.
Okay, right.
I forgot he was in. But anyway, that's a side note. So Vinnie Jones, there's a lot of cool DTV players in this, and say Richard Chamberlain, who we also lost relatively recently. Did he die this year as well? I mean,
I was surprised when I saw it. I thought he died years ago.
Yeah.
But the last thing I saw in was Nip Tuck, but I think he sort of been around in a few things because he had kind of a recurring role, I think, on that.
Yeah.
But I hadn't really watched much Richard Chamberlain, so a few years ago, probably about 10 years ago, I watched The Thornbirds.
Oh yeah,
where he was Cardinal de Bruxelles and stuff. I thought he was really good. He was good. And he's an actor who's got a very particular, style about him and stuff. And you would not expect him to turn up in this film.
No.
I mean, I always remember him from the Richard Lester Musketeers movies, I thought he was very good in it. But he was also in a TV movie version of the Bourne Conspiracy.
I think it was the Bourne Identity.
Sorry, the Bourne Identity, not Conspiracy.
He was Jason Bourne, I think.
He was.
Because the original book is very different to the.
Oh, it is
to the movie.
very, very different. Yeah, I mean the miniseries was more in tune with that. I can't remember who was it. Was it Jacqueline? Not Jacqueline Bisset. It was one of the Charlie's Angels. I think was the woman. Anyway, I digress. Let's wrap up. That is the end of the show, basically. So thanks for listening. Thanks, guys, for watching the movies. There was a lot of interesting themes this week. Lots of Irish accents. We had 2 films about boxing. We had 2 films set in swamps. We've had 2 films set in locked locations. It's all weird, coincidental stuff going on, and a couple of outliers. Don't forget to check us out on Facebook and X and Blue Sky at the DTV Digest, and also check out the short shots. We will eventually get round to reviving that soon. I keep saying that every episode. It's true though. Thank you for listening. Tune in next time.
Thank you for listening to the DTV Digest. Let us know your thoughts in the comments and tune in again next time.